everybody. So this was put together by a group of us from the office here. Thank you. So really, I think one of the important things to remember here about community learning hubs is, and like you've heard a lot this morning already, and like you already know, that expanded learning means more than just expanded time, right? So it's important that we provide some place to support students, after school and on weekends during the summer and all of that. But we're also talking about their learning, right? And like Dr. Holmes was just saying, it's not just their learning, but looking at the whole child and all those things that encompass that. When we talk about community learning hubs and the possibility of expanded learning, that can include, social emotional learning. It can include acceleration, online self-paced courses. It could include a CTE. It could look at project-based learning, peer tutoring. Lots of possibilities there, and to look at expenditures around staff, infrastructure, devices and connectivity, food, healthy food, equipment for play, for games, all those things are support the entire child and their families. And so you're looking at can you use your school sites to do this, and can you partner with a community organization and use another space to accomplish this as well? Dr. Kim Law is going to give us some more details on considerations to think about when you're putting together a community hub.
Thank you, Dr. Large. So the key components of learning hubs, one of the things that we need to think about, and we've been talking about all along, is, who are our group of students who need access to these resources the most. And so, key components of learning hubs is that it's voluntary and targeted. And so we give priority to those groups of students who do need access to these resources. And of course, with the safety of our students and staff as well, strict adherence to local and state public guidelines, what are the safety protocols in place, such as screening, temperature scanning, wearing mask, and routine cleaning schedules. And then along the lines of safety for our staff and our students is also the consistent cohorts in the same space daily, where they're not, jumping from group to group. And then the next thing is providing the essential materials and nutrition, and kind of like what Dr. Large said, what are the basic needs of our students to allow them to learn and do their work, right? The study space desk, internet connectivity, devices, protective equipment, mask, sanitizer, hand washing stations, and, the meals and the nutrition for them, the free meals. And then the provide academic supports, and not just academic support, but also the social emotional support in the learning activities. And then hours of operation taking place during distance learning hours and beyond. Some of our, students, the targeted group may have parents, working parents, and so it could be after hours or during their school day to continue to support our students. So here are some considerations for the development of these hubs. First is the purpose, right? We talk about the assessment. So what needs will the hub answer? And so consider a needs analysis for your district. Every district is different. So who is experiencing, some questions to think about is who is experiencing the challenges with distance learning? What are those challenges, and what does our hub need to look like to meet those needs of our students? Partnerships, consider any existing partnership that you may have already with the community, and how those might be extended to include access to sites or buildings and resources. Do you have a current building such as a library, a community center, in which you can expand the use of those? And what would an agreement with a local library or that community center or a city organization and other facilities look like? Prioritize, again, what is the majority of the learning hub providers have prioritized children of essential workers, homeless or housing insecure students, foster youth, students without access to distance learning, and or who have had previously or did not previously participate in distance learning. So who are our target groups that, or our most underserved groups? And then investing in staff. How will we ensure the safety and effectiveness of our staff? Again, consider our staff safety, because they will be the ones interacting with our students and providing those services. And so, again, safety guidelines, how are we addressing the basic needs, including, the wages and our social emotional support and childcare for the adults. And then finally, funding resources. How might you braid funding resources, funding sources and resources? So most hubs have reported using a combination of state expanded learning funds, federal education stimulus, private grants, municipal dollars. So when you're devising funding plans, school and expanded learning partners should weigh in on how funding levels and sources will impact or affect the design of your learning hub.
And so we did want to take a couple of minutes. I know we're really aware of time, but we'd love to hear from a couple of you examples of what you're doing around community learning hubs, something that's been working for you, or something that you're thinking of trying.
So I'll share where we're at in our thinking right now. Our board just approved on the last meeting for us to move forward with, we have built a new middle school, and so that's creating a shift in two of our existing schools. We're moving one middle school to the new building, moving one of our academies into the old middle school, which leaves us what to do with the space being vacated by SJLA. So we want to move forward with creating a distance learning school because, and I know everyone's having that conversation, right? But really trying to have the conversation at the cabinet level about how do we rethink that space to where we incorporate these ideas, to where it could be not only a facility that supports distance learning, where we create what I'm calling like a mission control for the teachers that are doing distance learning, so we can really enhance professional learning and have them be very strong in that instructional model and learn from what we did this year, but also create it to be a community hub, cyber cafe. In my past, worked with, in my prior district, did a lot of work with wellness centers. So really trying to think, how do we bring all that together to be a community resource? There is another space that is in planning for something a little bit different, that also wanting to kind of bring that back to the table of, could we rethink that before we start to really build to where, again, taking in some of these ideas, our community definitely needs it. So just excited to be able to be on a ground level of having some of these conversations.
I love the idea of you guys are planning with community in mind, right? What are the best ways to support? Yeah, so we curated a few resources that I think will be helpful for you. Just to reiterate, if you've got questions around the, educational technology, please reach out to me. Adam Doty is a director in our IT division here, and so if you've got questions about connectivity and access and that sort of thing, please reach out to either of us.